Welcome. Again, I miss you guys so much. I can't wait until we see each other again. Well, this Sunday we're going to look at the church calendar. This Sunday is the 5th Sunday in Lent. So let's make sure we can see this. All right, again, we still have our family church calendar here. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th Sunday in Lent. And that means next week is Palm Sunday. But right now we're in this purple season, which is a serious season. It's the season of royalty, kings and queens. It's also a very serious season because something is going to happen to the king. Well, I invite you, if you haven't already, to get some friends to be with you. Maybe your parents or grandparents might like to be with you, or maybe your stuffed animals, or maybe you have siblings who'd like to be with you. You can gather them around. And when you're ready, you can press pause, and when you're ready, press unpause, and then we'll get our hearts ready. Okay. So press pause if you need to right now, and then come back. Okay, you're back. Magic, the magic of TV. Okay, so we're going to get our hearts ready and be still and know He is God. Well, today's gospel reading is what we're going to focus on today. It's a story about Lazarus. And Lazarus had two sisters named Mary and Martha. And they were very good friends with Jesus. This story, I'm going to actually read from my Bible. It's going to be different than a normal story where I'm going to say it from my heart. But I want to read this story. It's a long story, but I do hope that you enjoy it. It comes from John chapter 11. Now, a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Here's Mary, and here's Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus. Lord, the one that you love is sick. And when Jesus heard this, he said, the sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it. Jesus loved Mary and Martha, and Jesus loved Lazarus. Yet when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was for 2 more days. And then he said to his disciples, let us go back to Judea. But they said, Rabbi, a short while ago the Jews tried to stone you, and yet you are going back there? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours of daylight? A man who walks by day will not stumble, for he sees this world's light. And when he walks by night, he stumbles, for he has no light. After he had said this, he went on to tell them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going to go there to wake him up. His disciples replied, "Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better." Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. So he told them plainly, "Lazarus is dead, and for your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe, but let us go to him." Then Thomas, called Didymus, said to the rest of the disciples, "Let us also go, that we may die with him." On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him. But Mary stayed at home. "Lord," Martha said to Jesus, "if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha answered, "I know he will rise in the resurrection at the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even though he dies, and whoever lives and believes in me will never die." Do you believe this? "Yes, Lord," she told him. "I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, the one who has come into the world." And after she had said this, she went back and she called her sister Mary aside. "The teacher is here," she said, "and is asking for you." And when Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. And when the Jews who had been with Mary in the house, comforting her, noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her. Supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, "See how he loved him." But some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across its entrance. "Take away the stone," he said. "But Lord," said Martha, the sister of the dead man, "by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days." Then Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." Now this is the story of Lazarus. I wonder which part of this story you liked best. I wonder which part of this story is the most important part of the story. Those are some good ideas. Now, I wonder if we could leave any part of this story out and still have the story that we need. I wonder how Martha and Mary felt. I wonder how Jesus felt. I wonder if you have had anyone that you love die. I wonder how you felt. I wonder where God was when you were feeling that way. I wonder if you have ever felt hope. Now, I wonder where you are in this story. And finally, I wonder where God is working in your life today. He's working in our lives every day. Think about it. I love you guys, and I miss you so much. I hope to see you very soon. Go now to love and serve the Lord. Go in peace.